This evening we come to the fourth I am saying of Jesus, I am the Good Shepherd. Beginning to read at St. John chapter 10, verse 11. I am the Good Shepherd. The Good Shepherd is one who lays down his life for his sheep. The hired man, since he is not the shepherd and the sheep do not belong to him, abandons the sheep and runs away as soon as he sees a wolf coming, and then the wolf attacks and scatters the sheep. This is because he is only a hired man and has no concern for the sheep. I am the Good Shepherd. I know my own, and my own know me, just as the Father knows me, and I know the Father, and I lay down my life for my sheep. And there are other sheep I have that are not of this fold, and these I have to lead as well. They too will listen to my voice, and there will be only one flock and one shepherd. When I began my ministry as a curate in Lancaster Priory, I occasionally offered clergy duty to cover at a beautiful church called Over Wyresdale Church, set out on the fells, some way from the city itself. And it was quite lovely when the church wardens pointed out something in the porch. They pointed out the hooks that were placed alongside the walls so that the shepherds who came to worship there could hang their crooks during the time of the service itself. And then as they had a full-on sort of life in looking after the sheep, they could immediately resume their duty after the service had taken place. And of course, the shepherd's crook is the symbol that is connected with a bishop as the chief pastor of the Christian flock. It's a symbol of their office. It's 42 years ago now, approaching the day when I was ordained priest in Blackburn Cathedral. And on that day, the bishop said to the priests and the presbyters to be ordained, "The treasure now to be entrusted to you is Christ's own flock, bought by the shedding of his own blood on the cross." The treasure now to be entrusted to you is Christ's own flock. And that's quite a weighty thought for the clergy to maintain, but a thought which is one to inspire them in their duty of pastoral care to those entrusted to their charge. This dialogue of Jesus about the Good Shepherd has as its background the idea of the false shepherds of Israel, epitomised in the Old Testament, who opposed the prophets and hounded them to death. And in Jesus' own day, they had their contemporaries in the scribes and the Pharisees and the Sadducees who tried to trap Jesus out on every occasion. They were false shepherds, and like Jesus himself, they had no love or care for the sheep, and certainly there was no question of them risking their own lives by laying down their life for the sheep. A few weeks ago I preached at the Crichton Church, and there we looked at this particular painting by the painter Alfred Seward, who is a Victorian painter. And of course it's of Jesus as the Good Shepherd. Note the unusual nature of the scene. We normally see Jesus as the Good Shepherd in the stained glass window carrying a sheep over his shoulder back into the fold. But here we see what's involved in the risky situations in which the sheep get themselves into. Note how precipitous the ledge is on which the sheep has lowered itself onto, and note how slight is the foothold that the shepherd has on the cliff itself, and he's hanging onto it by the lightest of holes of his hand. Note too the vulture in the background, which is waiting for a ready meal, waiting for a carcass either of the sheep himself itself, or of the shepherd who's risked all in laying down his life for the sheep. Jesus said, I am the good shepherd. The good shepherd is prepared not only to go after the sheep, but also to lay down his life for their sake.